computer.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our Power by Am Annex. I know that you guys have really been doing a lot of hard work this past week. And so this is our second week. This is coming off of week 2. We've had our very first call, which is our personal. And this is the one we're going to be talking about today. We're going to touch back on last week's, check in with all of you. This call, if you're watching the playback, is designed for you to have space to process all that we've been kind of, all that work that we've been doing. Before we get into it, though, we're going to start with meditation to kind of get ourselves centered on the work and really just manifest what we're going to share and embrace today. So, Eva, you can go ahead and open up and get us started with that meditation. We're just going to meditate for 1 minute.
Okay, guys, so pretty much we're just going to close our eyes and we're going to try our very best just to clear our heads. Whatever outside thoughts that might be coming in and out, that's fine. Just bypass it, accept that the thought is there and then refocus again into your meditation. We're just going to do that for 1 minute. It's just your moment, your time by yourself to clear your head. You can take deep breaths. Deep breath in. And you can sigh when you exhale. It feels amazing. Whatever thoughts are coming to your mind, just let them bypass. Got about 20 more seconds. I want you to take one more deep inhale. Hold it in for 3, 2, 1, and exhale. And we are done.
All right, you guys.
That felt good.
Anybody almost fall asleep like I did because I'm exhausted.
Yeah. All right, so we got to mute the mics to make sure.
Yeah, we got to mute everybody.
Before this, we can always open.
Can you guys all mute yourself if you haven't done so yet? And we're gonna try to mute everybody, but we want you guys to feel free to open up and unmute yourself when you want to share a thought.
I'm ready to go. Wow, so where do we begin, right? Some of us, I see some faces that was on Chris' call on Monday, right? And it was heavy, I mean, last week was heavy, right? For everyone that did the work, right? That was some work that we had to put in, right? We forgave other people. It was really hard. We've been reading all the comments inside our group, and it's been a place, hopefully some of you got to drop off them heavy anchors. I had some of you saying, I don't know, it's kind of deep in there. And I said, you know what? What better place to drop off them anchors than the deepest water you can find, right? So drop it in there. Wherever it's deep at, that's where we want to drop it at. So, man, I mean, the call last week, what we want to do is kind of like retouch briefly on last week, because Chris did a business part that we kind of like didn't go in. So I guess maybe we can talk about how those anchors kind of like affect our businesses. Because I mean, we're all coaches, Ashley, right? Everybody here is a coach, yeah?
Yep.
All right, so basically we all have businesses, right? And so those anchors are like something, they really show up in your business. And I really didn't know how it affected me until I did my first Power by Am. Mm-hmm. What are you guys struggling with still at this point? Type that in the chat box. If there's anything that you kind of like struggling with the personal side of forgiving or forgiving yourself.
Yeah,
and in your business, if you can type that in the side.
And I want to add something for you, to you guys that, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for all of you for doing that work, for trusting the space that we're all creating for each other. Because I know a lot of you, as you were writing out your anger, maybe it was the very first time that you wrote those things out or actually touched on it. I know a lot of us, right, by show of hands, have suppressed a lot of the things that you were being asked to draw up, right? And I'm glad that you guys are trusting the process, knowing that over the next 9 weeks, it will all feel better, right? So what we want to ask you guys right now is, based on what was kicked up, what are you still struggling with? And I don't say still as if it's always going to be that way, but just so we kind of get an idea. I'm here inviting, some of you are still struggling with consistency and rejection. And even as it relates to your anchors, right? And having to forgive. Is there anything you're struggling with? Because we'll touch on a little bit about how that's translating into your business. Most of you, when we signed up for this, you came in not knowing what to expect, but you said, you know what? I've been stuck in my business for a very long time. I don't know what's holding me back. I have a lot of fear and self-doubt. And then maybe you went back into your history and kind of got to the source of where that fear came from, or who it was, or what circumstance made you feel as if you couldn't, right? I hear Valence saying forgiving herself, forgiving that person and letting go and moving on, right? How can you take on someone else's fitness journey, health journey, or their health transformation if you're still struggling with transforming yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Getting past the anchors. Eva, not taking, oh my goodness, my screen is kind of messed up here. Not taking your mom's judgment personally when it comes to coaching, right? Mm-hmm. Making you feel as though you're begging and that you're dragging, frustrated people who drag you on the fence. Absolutely. Reaching out to new people.
Yeah.
These are good anchors, yeah.
Yeah, good, yeah, definitely. And I definitely struggle with some of those too. And like I said, when I took Power by Am, I started to realize like how these anchors actually really affected me in my business. Because I shared like last week, if I'll just recap a little bit briefly. But one of my biggest anchors, I got so many of them, so many of them. But one of my biggest ones I was mentioning is a previous relationship with my daughter's mom, right? You know, she, although I was doing everything I was supposed to do in terms of supporting my kids, after we broke up, a lot of things happened. You know, I was considered, I'm still considered myself like a go-getter. I was successful. You know, I was out there living my dream. I was, you know, I had a record label. I was cutting hair. I wasn't a coach yet, but I was taking my artists to where I needed to take them to, and you know, it got to this point where I started getting some success. You know, and I had this car, right? I had bought a brand new Range Rover and stuff, and I was just happy about that. And I was using it to kind of like promote my business. And I remember my ex had a flower shop, which I helped her get. And I didn't want to pull up in that car and have her see me because I just felt like she would feel a certain type of way. And so I remember I came with Ayana and I said, Ayana, you drive. I don't even want to drive up to this flower shop. And Ayana was driving and we pulled up, and it still bothered my ex, right? And so a month later, she took me to court. Now, when she took me to court, it was a situation where I was paying, you know, I sat down with her, figured out how much she needed for the kids. I put her in a home, I put her in an apartment, gave her all the furniture that we had together. I was homeless. I was homeless for about 8 months. I had a car, businesses and all that stuff. Homeless though, I had no place to stay. But I was just working, you know, doing my thing. And, you know, we've gone to court. I don't want to take up too much time. We've gone to court, but basically she did some, I would say some dishonest practices. You know, she used her, she had 2 other kids with somebody else. She used those receipts and said it was my receipts. Anyway, she got a judgment of $42,000 and I was stuck with it. Had to pay it. So I was feeling like hurt. I was feeling like betrayed. Of course, I was upset with her. I was mad. All those things, you know, and it became an anchor immediately. Not only that, she would send people to spy on me in my barbershop, at my studio, to find out if I was making more money so she can take me back, right? So this anchor, I just want to tie it into how it affects my business, right? And what these anchors kind of like lead to. So me being fearful of being in court with judges and people prying through my income and people spying on me, trying to figure out what I'm doing now, I put a sort of like a ceiling on, some people call it going, I was flying under the radar. So I put a ceiling up and I didn't want to go above this. So I didn't want to go above that because I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to deal with this stuff again. Also, I didn't want to go too low because I didn't want to fall off. So now, if you can picture, I have a ceiling and a floor, and I'm just flying through there, right? I had a limiting belief, they call it, and it was, and I created it. It was called fear of success. So some people have fear of success, some people have fear of failure. I had fear of success because I didn't want to go through these issues because of that anchor, right? So now, you know, you do anything for a long enough time, it creates a habit, right? So now I'm going through life and I'm still being stressed out. My kids are being used against me. My health is getting bad because I'm working and I'm just I'm not feeding myself the right foods. This is what happens. Not feeding myself the right foods. Health is getting bad. I gained a lot of weight. That's where Beachbody came in. So now, you know, I'm with Ayana. I start my journey. I'm a coach. I'm supposed to be helping people, right? That's what I do. And I do that, but I got this fear of success, right? So naturally, I come in and I help people like I do. And we had a lot of success in the beginning of our coaching opportunity business, right? First year, you know, we get to the stage on Beachbody. We're there, we're getting celebrated at Summit. I come back down. You understand? I come back down. Why? Because I want the success, but I kind of like don't want it. You get that? So that's what the anchors kind of do. It can lead to other things. And that's why we have to get rid of them. And that's what the Power I Am is going to kind of like open your eyes to, like why these anchors are affecting your business. So we're going to get rid of these anchors, and then we're going to be able to fly on the business side, right? If that makes sense.
Does anybody ever feel as though they're shrinking in their presentation? And you probably have this major belief system in what Beachbody has done for you, right? It's not even about the business. It could be anything. You probably, maybe now, because we went through that exercise of identifying anchors and going back to who done it, essentially, maybe now, and you can post it here or speak out, do you now acknowledge why you find yourself shrinking in the face of your ability, shrinking in the face of your ability to help and serve and your gift, right? You know, in his example, he's talking of shrinking so he doesn't seem as though he has too much, or, you know, so that he's not penalized for who he is anything more. But maybe it's you feeling as though you're being penalized, or you're wearing your hurt. Maybe you feel as though when you talk to somebody, you know, whether or not you've lost 100 pounds or successful, maybe you feel as though people are seeing your past, or they're seeing your anchors. You know what I'm saying?
Like if you're struggling with inviting, you know, it's sort of like when you go, you might not want to talk to people because in your relationships or in your past, like that anchor that you talked about, maybe you were verbally abused, so you don't want to get close to people no more. You know, that's the type of things that happen. These anchors cause you to kind of like retract and not be who you were meant to be.
So
So inviting.
you guys are lighting up the feed. I would love to. Does anybody feel as though they're comfortable with sharing, kind of like maybe an example, some kind of aha moment? And we're going to move into this week's topic. We're just talking a little bit about the anchors and how it might affect your business. But now, after this, we're going to talk about forgiving yourself, because as you know, Chris dropped a major bombshell, and I'm quite sure it hit home, not just a shocker that this is happening to somebody who we was like, wow. You see people in the superstar lifestyle, you think nothing hurts them. He's just like you and I, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to touch on that in a second. But I want to just kind of just go back again to that business and the anchor. Does anybody feel comfortable sharing? I don't want to, pull you out, but anyone can make that connection to their anchors or something that they experienced in their past that you can now see clearly. Like, this is probably why I don't connect, or I don't reach out there. I'm not growing my business. Can anybody make that connection for themselves? You're welcome to open up your mic, and then we'll be able to see. I'm going to open this up here. We're here for each other. Maybe we can. Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, I think I will go. I was sitting here and I was thinking. I had can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking, because the other day, you remember, I was talking to you guys about some of the issues that I was thinking about, and how I was like pouring my heart out to, my coaches and my teammate Eva. But then it hit me when George was talking. I don't know. Basically, I did a lot of multi-level marketing businesses, and I dealt with a lot of people. And people come and go, and people come and they go. And I think what really happened with me is that what hold me back in my business is that I don't trust. You know what I mean? I don't trust people to a certain extent, because they come in and then they leave. They come in and then they leave. So I believe what was going on with me is that in my subconscious, I was like, why should I really, 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 really recruit anybody or ask anybody to be a coach? Because they're going to come and they're going to leave, So I didn't really, to be honest with you, I didn't identify that until just now as George was talking. Why? I don't know, but that's just the way things happen. But now it puts things into perspective. So that was a big anchor that was holding me down, for a long time. So thank you. Just for you talking, George, it pulled that out of me. So, I mean, now I know what I got to work on.
That's this whole thing. I'm looking at the feed, and I see people are talking about. I'm feeling people being stuck. I'm feeling people's anger for someone in their personal life distracting them from the business. If you guys want to share that, please do. What I'm getting from that is, it's not even about the people you have met, not about the people that you desire to help, and you haven't even gotten past that threshold because of what you're harboring on the inside, right? Because I'm quite sure whoever invited you to this business as a coach saw something in you that transcended anything they even knew that was behind this. I don't even want to call it facade, but facade, right? They see something in you without knowing all of your past history. That's amazing. That's great. And you are stuck. You, right, based on what you're sharing, are experiencing and harboring anger for something else, and it didn't even allow you to open up your mouth and give the blessing to somebody else, right?
I have to touch on what you just said, Ayana.
Yeah.
The facade thing. That was something that I struggled with for a long time, which was, on the outside looking in, people always have this assumption that I was just very confident with myself, that I didn't even have blockages, anchors, or whatever, because I'm just very flamboyant in my personality. And I've learned that this is just who I am, but I think at one point it was to guard myself, right? To kind of, it was like a facade, I feel like, because I wouldn't let anybody close enough to me, except for the people who really knew me, like in my younger days, know what was really deep down inside of me, because everyone looked up to me in terms of my energy and how they always wanted me to be around and make them laugh and make them feel good. But at the same time, I never really wanted them to know who I really was, because of the fear of rejection, leading back to being a little girl, right? Leading back to when I was molested and my mom found out about it. I felt a sense of shame because of it, like it was my fault. And then moving forward over the years, kind of, I feel like I was mistreated by my mom for many years. So that was rejection then. Then in just with school and other kids would make fun of me repeatedly. That was rejection. I always wanted to fit in, and I never fit in the mold as hard as I tried because there was something different, something special about me that I thought was wrong. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be like everybody else instead of being like me. And then in relationships, when I was pregnant, I don't like to use this term anymore, but at the time, I truly felt abandoned. That word makes me feel like a victim. So I don't say that anymore. And listening to George's story and Rob's story last week and recently Chris's story, you know, as men, they have to make a decision as to what's best for them, right? On the other hand, from the woman's perspective, we're rejected. We're abandoned. We're not worthy. We're not good enough. What could we have done to make him stay? So there's a sense of bitterness inside. So when it applies to my business, sure, I can be myself, be bubbly and have a great time and kind of like invite people in stories. But when it's like in person, one-on-one, there's that fear again. There's that rejection, you know? So I can see how that applies into my business. And it stems back from when we were young, itty bitty little kids, but with the power of I am and listening to everybody's stories, we can really dig deep and find the root of it so that we can alter it, unlearn what we've pretty much learned our entire lives about ourselves, right? And rewire our mindset. So thank you, all of you, for sharing that, because it's just, like, it's not a fear of success. I want to be successful, you know? But it's the rejection part. Like, once they really see me, are they really going to want me?
Yeah, you said it perfectly. And I see Aisha and others are saying that's exactly what it is. And this is a beautiful process, you guys, to be able to get to the root of it. And in reading the comments, I saw a lot of us were almost like scared, like, holy crap, what did I exactly sign up for? Because when is this going to get cleaned up? When am I going to start to feel good about me exposing myself or reliving these experiences, right? But aren't we at not even approaching the best days of our lives, right? Think about all the people in our lives who never had to have this opportunity to kind of scrape the surfaces of what's been going on, who've never had the chance to really acknowledge or achieve what their purpose was, right? So if we go ahead, does anybody want to drop a little bit about their anchors or their assignments from last week and writing their letters and connecting it to their business? Because I want to make sure that you all heard. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just to clear up like the whole last week. So it really comes down to this fear, right? These anchors kind of like develop into some fear. And it's either fear, like everything everyone is talking about, I'm looking at rejection, inviting, and support and lack of trust. Like, so everything is leading into fear. That's really what it is. It's either one or the other. It's fear of success or fear of failure, you know, and a lot of times it's really the fear of failure because we don't want to be rejected again, like we've been rejected by someone in our life.
Or yourself.
Or yourself. You know, we're rejecting ourselves sometimes. We don't want to invite because of the lack of trust. It's fear, like somebody's going to leave us again. We don't want that. It didn't feel good before. So we don't want that again in our business, right? And so once we know that root, we work on it and get rid of them anchors little by little, because there's so many that we have. But we get rid of the biggest ones, we get rid of the smaller ones. We just have to keep on getting rid of them, you know. And it is pretty much looks like just, you know, everything we swept under the rug. But some of us are good at shaking things off, and we say, hey, you know what? Somebody did something to me, right? We shake it off, put it under the rug, right? And we keep on moving with our lives, but it's still there. So this process is really about getting rid of that the right way. We looking under the rug, and that's what's hard, because we like, man, we ain't cleaned the rug under this rug in years, right? We're looking under that rug, and we like, wow, all that old stuff that's there, right? And it brings back these feelings. You know, I was reading some thread inside our group, and someone said it's heavy, it's hard to deal with. Yeah, because we didn't clean in a long time. Some of us never cleaned. We just kept on going along with our life, right? And we just kept on living and acting like nothing was wrong. But then, you know, we figure out things like I did, like, man, why do I keep flying and I keep falling down? Right. Then I fly again and I want to fall down. Yeah. I want to fly higher, then I fall back down. Because every time I get that little taste of success, I'm going back to the time when I went through that bad period in my life, and I don't want that, you know? So now I start to clear it, right? I start to get rid of these anchors, and I forgave her, right? And then check this out. So now let's go into this week.
No, hold on a second. Before you go into this week, I know Derry wanted to say something, but I also want to acknowledge what Jackie said. As you can see this thread right here, because what you're talking about,
false evidence.
You've done moved away from the reality. It's no longer hot and heavy in your life. You're now living your life. You're no longer with this woman, and you're still coming back to the space. It's now become false evidence. His history with her has now become false evidence and appears real. And that is exactly right. It's you're allowing the distraction to come into your life, and you are giving this cat. You gave it life. You gave it lungs. You gave it a pulse. You gave it a heartbeat, so to speak. Right. Derry, what did you want to share? So you had your hand raised.
You can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Hi. I just want to say, in terms of like identifying our anchors, it was very difficult because I had to go back and kind of revisit the pain that I experienced at that moment, and I was able to relate it to like just different parts of my life when I was given a challenge to accomplish something, and I backed away from it instead of going forward. For me, it probably was my father, you know, being so overbearing, and maybe in my teenage years being taunted, but I always had a fear of like making mistakes. And so in doing that in life, I have been very cautious. And I think in being very cautious, it prevented me from accomplishing things that I was very capable of. A lot of times I was put in leadership roles in certain organizations. At one time I was in this organization and was put in a leadership role, but I backed away from it. Another time I was at an interview and the man wanted to hire me. He knew I knew the work, but I clammed up. And so I can kind of identify it even within like Beachbody, just being afraid to make a mistake. And it's really eye-opening because now I know why I'm blocked, why I haven't gotten to the full potential.
I love that. And you know what else, Derry? And I think a lot of you might be able to identify with that. She identified moments where she felt, this is my moment to stand in my purpose. You probably didn't say it out verbally, but it was in your body. And you was like, I could do this, but this loud anchor was pulling you back. And nobody could see you in turmoil in your body.
No, but you feel it inside.
Exactly. We don't even know how long ago that happened, but it's still very fresh in your mind that some opportunity for you to grow and step and stand and rise, right? But here's the beautiful thing, guys. You're here. I want to remind you of that. I want to applaud you of that, that if we do the work now and we kick up all that dust and scrape those scabs a little bit right now, you will never have to experience that again. You might have some slight hesitation, but with the support that we have here and what you're going to learn over the next few weeks, you're going to say, nuh-uh, anchors be there. Y'all, you got to go back that way. This is my moment, and I'm going to stand in it.
Yeah.
Okay?
And guess what, Derry? What if I told you the most successful CEOs and entrepreneurs and people in life failed more than anyone else?
Yeah. Yeah.
You believe that?
The maker of KFC, he knocked on over 1,000 doors before he was successful.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I believe he was in his 60s or in his 70s before he became an entrepreneur. So
exactly.
So we're all on this call. You guys got to know it ain't over. You're just beginning, right? So let's go ahead and move into this week's topic, which is forgiving yourself. And a lot of y'all already went ahead and y'all didn't even know that this was going to be this week's assignment, but y'all done jumped ahead because y'all was like, hold on a second, we got a list of people to forgive. What about me? And I love that. And you know, raise your hand if you didn't get a chance to hear this week's call. Don't worry about it. You still have time to do it. But for those of you who listen to this call, were you not just like I don't know what's the word? Did not the hairs rise up on your arm? Were you not stopped in your tracks? Just about the prospect of our mentor, Chris Downing, and what he's been going through. He shared very openly and honestly about his life and what things have been since he became a superhero. Oh, he's a superhero. Since he became a super trainer with Beachbody, he's been carrying some anchors, and you would not have known it had you not been a part of this series, right? He's been carrying some anchors, and we talked about facades and being able to hide it real well. Wow. You would never have known. He said it. 99% of the time he's happy, but that little 1% that we all walk around with, in many cases, can paralyze us. Can in some cases even
and yet, look at how much he has been able to accomplish.
Yeah.
With that huge anchor, with that huge 1%.
Yeah.
So that's a prime example of look at how far we've gotten.
Yeah.
And we're doing the work now.
Yeah.
Only up from here.
Yeah.
I had to just speak on that.
No, that's a fact. And just think about the fact that if you have not been operating on 100%, right? You are still a success, right? We look at Chris, he's still a success, but that 1% needs to be dealt with because you're still not living. You're still not living to your max potential. You're still not giving the world the best of you. Because honestly, like I always say, like babies are born, they cry, they make a stank on this world by crying and pooping, whatever you want to call it. But they're in this world and they're see me, love me. You're on this world to make an impact. So if you are in that space where that 1% is holding you back from having a voice, from doing like Derry's saying, being in circumstances where you can rise and shine and impact people, then you have to do that work. Yeah. So how many of you struggled with the assignment of forgiving yourself? I show of hands.
Yeah.
And how many of you understand the value of forgiving yourself and what it will unlock? How many of you still have not forgiven yourself? 100%.
Yep.
Can go ahead.
In the comment section, right? Tell me what you think you're operating at. Like how much percent out of 100, where do you think you rate yourself at? Are you 65%, 75%, 70? What do you think? Where would you rate yourself? 75? All right. 15, wow, so you got a lot of room to go up. Awesome. 50%, wow. 70%, 50, not even 30, wow. Look how much growth you have. 50%, 50%.
Wow. And how many of you would say that you're giving, we've all made the statement before, you're giving 37. The world, your family, 100% of yourself, 150%, right? Most 80%. Of us feel like you come home and you're depleted. If you have children, you're depleted every single day of your waking life, right?
Yep. 20, yep.
So yet we're operating from deficit.
Wait, somebody went down. How you go down in like 2 seconds? Come on now. 60%. Yep.
Going to therapy and learning how to deal with it.
So yeah, so just imagine like, man, even 5%, right? You go up 5%. What if every anchor was like 3%? Some of them might be like 10%. Like I feel like when I dropped off like a 10% the other day in the deep water, like, be going. I felt so light, right? 60%, right? But just to think that so many people are like counting on us, right? We're coaches now. We got kids. We got wives, husbands, jobs, right? Some of us have important jobs. Like, where's Rob? My partner Rob is NYC police, keeping everybody safe here. I want Rob to be 100%, right?
We're going to need you to be out there 100%.
If somebody's protecting you, right, don't you want them to be their best?
Oh my gosh.
But so just think about that growth and stuff. So if this gets hard, you know, for everybody watching the replay, you feel like this work might be a little bit hard, just think about how much better you're going to become, and all the people around you that are going to get a better version of you, right? Just by dropping off the anchor and forgiving yourself, right? The mirror, right? Oh man, that mirror is no joke. I was reading, who said like, somebody said that they have no mirrors in the house. I read like, you know, mirrors, they got a mirror, but they covered it up with all kinds of stuff. And the other mirror, they don't have hardly no mirrors in the house. But yet we're so beautiful of people, right? We're so beautiful. We're so amazing, right? Our bodies can actually heal itself, right? The words that we say are healing, right? The things we listen to can heal us. That's amazing. Like, we don't even know how the body operates. Oh, that was Mary, right? Mary.
Can you speak on that?
That was powerful. Because I had the same issues. I didn't want to look in the mirror because I felt like I was so guilty. I felt guilty for all sorts of things. You know what's funny? I had, when I did music, I used to call myself culprit because I was like the blame for everything. They used to blame me for every little thing that happened. And
oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Mary, come out of the darkness, girl. Where are you?
Mary, we gotta
so I mean, I hate to put you on the spot, but I'll put it out there. She and I were in the first grade together, so we going there. Miss Mary was the one who mentioned that she has no mirrors, or she covers up the mirrors, and she brushed her teeth in the dark. Now, mind you, Chris gave us this exercise, or he said, how many of you don't even look at your reflections in the mirror? How many of you don't even look at yourself and say that you're beautiful? I'm beautiful, and notice these freckles on your face, and notice the in my case, the hedgehogs on the forehead. But how many of you don't look at yourselves and see you for who you really are? And she just said that she brushed her teeth in the dark this morning. Can you imagine what that is like? Not just in your spirit, but if you are in a home with others. Remember, most of us here are in a home with, whether it's children, with spouses, and we are constantly interacting and giving off energy and receiving energy. If you are walking around and you are not in love with yourself, or at least forgiving of yourself, you make mistakes every single day, sometimes every single moment to moment. I know as a mom myself, I'm not perfect. I'm constantly apologizing to my kids, and I never once got an apology from my mom for any of the things that came out by accident. You know how many times anybody ever been called out by their name, you know what I'm saying? Have you ever been called a name by a person who you love, who loves you, and you don't get that apology? Now, if you haven't got to a space where you can withstand that aggression or anger from someone and show yourself that love, like, really, you're walking out into this world and you are literally going to always be a sponge, or unshielded, riddled with self-doubt, riddled with negativity. You have no protection. So that's why it's important to be able to look at yourself and love yourself, or at least learn to forgive yourself on a daily basis. Wendy Lee, come and talk us about that. You said you saw something about frequencies. Let's hear about it. How loving words. I think I'm still clear about that, but share a little bit about that, what you saw.
So there's a bunch of theories out there, and there are actually a lot of them have been proven scientifically. There's one woman, her son can measure frequencies, audio frequencies, and she started studying the patterns of words, like loving words, love, happiness, joy, beautiful, versus words like hate, disgusting, fat. And the ones that were loving and positive, they were symmetrical. The patterns, that is, but the ones that really have like a negative, and even when you say it, you can almost feel it. It's heavier. There was no symmetry. They were like just messy, almost like were to describe it visually, it'd be like angry.
Mm-hmm.
There's another scientist, I think he's Japanese, and I don't know if anybody's ever seen this study with water. He did this study where he took the same water and he put them in vessels. Into some vessels of water, he would say loving words, and others he would say these hateful words.
I saw that.
And then he crystallized the water, and the ones with the loving words had beautiful, like snowflakes. The other ones, the crystals were just, it was a mess. There was no pattern to them. So, and they're also talking about, you know how when you go outside and you're just breathing in fresh air, or just put your feet in the grass, or like standing near a tree, they're saying the frequency of outside matches what the frequency our bodies need. So there's a lot of that. So I think of that because I can hear myself talk all day. And I would scream at my daughter if I knew she was talking to herself like that. But yet I hear these thoughts that I'm saying to myself. Like and I've been trying this new thing since January 1st. I'm like, I'm going to start dating me. I'm going to start trying to treat me like I would want my partner to treat me. I want to break up with me. So I know all these things, but there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah. And how people even talk about what plants, talk to your plants, and that, all these kind of things. Again, your thoughts become words, your words become actions, and all those things are so true. And try it for yourself. If you would never speak down to somebody, right? We're all coaches. We all love people. We care about people. If you would never look at a woman at the very beginning of her fitness journey and say, you're fat, you're this, you're that, you would never say that. Why would you ever say that to yourself?
So I had put in the comments that I was going to share a story later. I can show you pictures later. But a girlfriend of mine, she's got a very similar story to me. Her husband is basically like, I'm not attracted to you. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to touch you. I don't want to look at you. I'm not going to divorce you either. She's really like in a purgatory kind of state. And she had posted something a while back. I forgot what movie it is. Love Actually. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But in the movie, this gentleman, he holds up a big poster and it says, "To me, you are perfect." And she had posted a video or picture of that. She's like, I want someone to do that to me. So I challenged her. I'm like, I'm going to Staples right now, sweetie. You go too. We're going to make our posters and we're going to stand in front of the mirror and we're going to hold this. And we're going to believe this about ourselves, right? I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm telling her to go do it. I made the posters. I can't look in the mirror with the poster. I can't do it.
Well, that's your assignment. You must do it. Now you're not getting out of it. And I want you to open the poster. And I want to see it stuck to your mirror. Okay. Because you are beautiful. You all of these things, you're affirmed by people on the outside. And we are our worst enemies, you guys. Like, we are absolutely our worst enemy. What's the worst thing? You know how we had to go and forgive people? Remember I shared that I forgave my dad and he was like, what are you forgiving me for? I did nothing to you. What's the worst that could happen if you forgive yourself? Are you going to reject the forgiveness? Right? Aren't we with our thoughts all day long? I don't know. Are you the kind of person when you go to sleep and your mind is so busy, that's why you can't get a restful sleep? People say that they're insomniacs. Well, maybe it's just because you got a lot on your mind and your thoughts are keeping you up. But if you're not filling your mind with affirmations, if you're not filling your mind with personal development, the thoughts kind of tend to just lean towards negativity. So you actually have to, that's your exercise, right? That's the work you actually have to do to yourself. And I love that exercise. I would challenge or invite any one of you, if you're struggling with that kind of self-love, to make that visual, make that arts and craft, make it glisten with glitter, do what you gotta do, make it cheesy and corny and big and obnoxious, and hold it in front of yourself because you deserve it. You're worthy. And obviously you need it on a billboard. Maybe you do need it on a plane to fly across the world, but really the message is just for you.
Or even get dry erase markers, write it on your mirror and look at it in the morning, something, anything.
That's what I want you to do. Thank you for the assignment, but that's your assignment.
I love it. That's a great idea. Y'all got me thinking about, like, our next house or apartment room, I'm going to put some mirrors on the ceiling.
Too much information.
No, but that's awesome. I mean, like, because you go to sleep, right? I mean, you going to sleep, you can look up and kind of like just talk to yourself. right?
I'm
Talk
gonna
to
delete
yourself.
that from the video.
Wake up in the morning
I'm someplace else right now.
and look at yourself in the morning. Like, you're fantastic. I
So
bet
I have
you.
to tell you guys, sorry,
Uh-huh.
but I have to tell you guys about this thing. It's so ironic, or not, it's all in alignment, nothing, there's no irony and everything, but my daughter's name is Amira, right? And her name is Amira because she is a reflection of me. And I used to do music, or I do music, so my stage name is Mira, right? So she's just, you know, a reflection of me, literally in every sense of the word. But for many years in my 20s, I struggled with, which it's coming to surface now, with a mirror. So when I was in college, every night after school, I would look in the mirror and do this thing that I would refer to as the mirror thing. It's called the mirror thing. And I would look in the mirror, hold my face, and ask myself, why was I such a pathetic loser?
Yeah.
Why I wasn't beautiful? Why no one loved me? Why I wasn't enough? And I did this to myself for many years. And no one knew about it at all. And until I told my cousin about it one day, because apparently she does the same thing. We touch our face and pity ourselves. So the more that you just do that, the more of that horrible negative energy you're just projecting right back at your reflection. So that's all you're going to continue to see, all you're going to continue to feel. And I did that for many years. And the most distinct memory I have is doing that and dropping to the ground and asking God to take me, saying I no longer wanted to be here anymore. I wanted to die. So when you guys are talking about the mirror, I remember that. And I did that for many years. That's no longer the case. Now when I look at the mirror, I'm like, hello, honey. Yes, get it. That's you. Oh, and you don't need any makeup? Get it, girl. And I really try to make sure my daughter looks in the mirror every day. And I didn't realize that was why. Like, I know the power in self and affirmations and the power of I am, but I didn't really connect it to the fact that I used to say these horrible things to myself in the mirror. So breaking the generational curses by making sure she knows that she's beautiful, that she's loved, and she is capable of any and everything she wants to accomplish in her life. And so are each and every one of you. So am I. So we got to start speaking life into ourselves every day. And forgiving, we're going to continue forgiving ourselves. Make mistakes, Mary, all the time. Every day. And we just have to give ourselves some grace.
Yeah.
Because you're worth it. So, y'all just bringing up stuff. I thought I was good.
Does anyone else have something they want to share in terms of their struggle with forgiving themselves?
I don't. Well, I told you guys that it took me 14 years to forgive my ex-wife. But what was coming to me as I'm sitting here, I was thinking is that, you know, we have to forgive ourselves, but we can't truly forgive ourselves until we forgive others. Something to think about. You can't move on and prosper until you forgive other people, because, like Chris was saying, and if you live it, you are holding the weight of other people, residual of other people, of your anger, your bitterness. You got to let it go. You have to let it go. One way or the other. You're never going to reach your potential. I'm telling you firsthand, 14 years, man. 14 years. That affected me. That held me back, because you know what? I couldn't be Robert. I could never be me, the full version of myself. I'm still working on myself, but I couldn't even be where I'm at now because I couldn't forgive her. You know, no matter what has went on in your life, no matter what has caused you to be where you are, you can break free from that. You can move from that, but you got to let it go. You got to say, you know what? I'm letting this go so I can be the better version of myself, so that I can prosper, so I can live, so I can conquer.
Yeah.
You have to do that, you know. And I don't want to hold you too much, but I just want to read something to you. I was looking, and there's a Bible verse. It's called Ephesians 4:31-32, and it says, "Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other, just as in Christ God forgave you." So in order for you to be prosperous and for you to move forward, you got to forgive. God forgives us, you know. It says if you sin 70 times in a day, that's 490 times God forgive you. And if your brother sins against you 7 times in a day, you must forgive him. So in order for you to prosper, in order for me to prosper, I had to forgive and work on myself. So remember, you can't be the better version of yourself if you don't forgive. I know it's hard because we're human. We have feelings. We have emotions. We get angry. But along comes with that, we become stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
And those are not stubbornness and anger and bitterness and malice. That's not of God. You know, if I'm talking about God and it offends you, then, you know, I'm sorry about that. But it's the truth because we have a higher power. You know, so you got to let it go. You have to let it go. That's a big anchor that's holding you down. Let it go. You know, however you have to do it. If you have to cry it out, you have to pray it out, you have to write it out, you have to burn the letter, you have to go in your backyard and scream or whatever. Let it go so you can move forward and be, you know, prosperous.
Because the only person that is really affecting, the only person that is truly hurting is yourself. And then if, you know, if any of us are parents, it's also hurting our children.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
because whoever did that wrong thing to us, they ain't worried about it.
You know, I feel like you are unlimited in the amounts of time that you can forgive yourself. Sometimes you're probably thinking, let me forgive myself now for what I'm about to do. You know what I'm saying? Forgive yourself in advance of doing what it is you have to do. You know, for those of you who were at the Super Weekend with us in New York City, or for those of you who have heard Chris on the call, you forgiving yourself, sometimes it feels as though you are going to hurt somebody else in the process. And you don't want to hurt anybody, you know, by freeing yourself, whether it's from a relationship, whether it's from a thought process, whether it's from a bad habit or from a pattern that was serving you at some point in your life. You know, you're limited in the opportunities to forgive and free yourself and actually begin to live. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of you, us, are in the situation where Chris is right now. And freeing himself from just negativity in his life, no matter who the source is, which is cutting ties with negativity so that you can become all that you were desired to be, live in your purpose, get your, you know, experience your birthright on this earth while you have the opportunity. And how many of us are willing to step into our greatness and have the faith to know that it'll be okay, even if it has to get messy right now? Like, you know, like a lot of us are doing this work right now and it's getting messy. The thoughts are messy. Like Wendy said earlier, I'm constantly having these conversations in my mind. You know, we're doing this week to week work, and a lot of the stuff is not happening fast enough for us. So you're sitting with these conversations in your head, thinking about what you got to do next. Like, damn it, am I gonna do this over this next 9 weeks? Again, no one's requiring you to do anything but be the better version of yourself and take no shorts when it comes to accomplishing it, right? Our kids will be better for it. Our spouses and people who are in their lives that are comfortable with their role in your life, or you letting them dominate or whatever, they'll be okay by you standing in your purpose and you forgiving yourself and you moving forward. They will survive, but how many of us are dying inside little by little by little because we're not releasing and freeing ourselves from these things? Like, how many of us are just quietly just relenting and just laying down? Right? This is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to say, I forgive myself for taking back my life. I forgive myself for what I'm about to do. You know what I'm saying? I know like when George was saying before, him having to step away from, and again, we have all kinds of family dynamics right here on this call. And I really appreciate having George here and Rob here giving us a male perspective. Because we don't always understand, right? If the relationship doesn't work out, we don't always understand their MO and how they're feeling and what's we don't even give a shit most of the time. Like, okay, well, all we see is that you're not here and you're not stepping up. But it's very important to know that there's a person on the other side of that relationship, whether or not he was for you or she was for you. There's another person on that side of the relationship. And that energy you harbor will hold you back in your next chapter of life. And so when he had to step away from his children, I was that child that my father stepped away from my life. I didn't really give a damn what was going on in his life. All I know is you weren't here. I felt the way. But when he was telling me, man, I had to step away from my daughters and not be in their lives and miss birthdays and miss holidays, I was talking to him saying, I'm that kid. She needs to hear you. I need to, but at the same time, I'm also watching my husband experiencing somatic symptoms of distress. He could potentially not be here had he not stepped away from his greatest gifts, and that was his children. So if you're listening to Chris Downing talking about having to do this for himself at the expense or the cost of not being in his kids' lives on a daily basis, that's a major sacrifice. And it's such a complex dynamic. So you guys being here on this call, you're being forced to understand the person who damaged you, who harmed you, who did you dirty. You're being forced to understand to some level what got them there. Forgive. Forgive yourself for your role in that relationship, because not one of us walks away or are completely innocent of some dynamic in some capacity. Not one of us are innocent in any of our relationships. We all play a role in those relationships. But this work right here is asking you, all of that stuff aside, to honor yourself. That person who may not be here needs to learn to honor themselves. They're not doing the work. But you have to, with your energy and your prayers for them and your forgiveness, you're giving them reprieve. You're giving them an opportunity to honor themselves. Maybe by stepping away. Maybe by forgiving. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now. Feels like I'm not. But I hope you're feeling me, that there's a person on the other side of your anchor.
Yeah. You know, you said some key points.
Thank you for saving me.
You said some key points. Well, you said forgiving yourself allows you to keep on going, right? If I didn't forgive myself, and that was a heavy, like, I mean, for the first week, right, we took responsibility, right? And what that really did, by you forgiving, it gave you your power back, right? And then the second part of that is you saying, you know what? I took that power, I forgave them. I mean, why you can't forgive yourself? If I can't forgive somebody else for really bashing me and hurting me and doing all these bad things to me, why can't I forgive myself? And I said, you know what? If I didn't forgive myself, I wouldn't even be here. And when you think about the gifts that you have inside you, some of the gifts ain't even yours, right? Some of the gifts are for everybody else, for the whole world. And what if I didn't forgive myself? Who would I be letting down? Right? Because God puts you here for a purpose. He put you here here for a purpose, right? Who would I be letting down? Right. And that's my thought process of I gotta forgive myself, because it allows me to just keep on failing, right? Somebody mentioned they're scared to fail. I can keep on failing if I want to. Forgive myself, because I got the power, right? I'll fail. Who heard of failing forward, right? So I keep failing forward. You look back and you're like, wow, look how far I came. And that was just failing because you kept on forgiving yourself. And you got up again, right? You couldn't do that workout.
Yeah.
Right? You couldn't do that workout. It was hard at first.
Yeah.
You forgave yourself. You kept trying, right? It allows you to go again. You started looking in the mirror. Try looking in the mirror when you're doing that workout. and start telling yourself, I got this, right? Look at that person in the mirror and be like, you strong, you capable, you're gonna finish this, you're gonna stick to the meal plan. Start talking to yourself in that mirror and watch what happens. I bet you your form will be better, right? Your form gonna get better because you're looking at yourself. Now you can make corrections. You're gonna get stronger, you're gonna get better, you know, just, it works. So forgive yourself, allow yourself to move on, move forward, and so you can get to that point where you can share that gift that you really want to share with the world.
So I want to just open up the floor to you guys. If there's any other person who would love to share what's on their heart on this topic, or anything that you want to share with us, I want to open up the floor for you. And then I'm going to reiterate the assignment, because you're not off the hook for doing this assignment. No, there is no pass or fail grade. It's really all you. I know a lot of you said writing things down, writing out that letter of forgiveness made all the difference. So don't just speak forgiveness to yourself. Do the work and write down those words, see the words, let it go into your spirit and release. So, you know, is there anyone who would like to share? We want to open up the floor before we close out. And
Yana.
Yes, please.
I just got to go. My son, they have emergency, so I got to go. So I'll see you guys next week, all right?
Okay, take it easy, Rob.
Blessings.
All right.
This is your moment. Open up the line.
And also, I want to add, you want to write that letter, you want to read it, even if you have to read it every single day. But a great tool is to say it out loud, right? Because you're speaking it, you're hearing it, you believe in it, and you're feeling it, and you become it. So reading it out loud to yourself is a great tool. If you haven't done that already, please, someone share. I'm excited to really hear from from you guys.
Can you guys hear me? This is Toy.
Hey, Toy.
Yeah, so just listening to this call, like I wrote like my letters, great, and I've been debating on mailing my letter to my mom. And listening to this call, the reason I haven't mailed it is it's fear, I guess, because one, I don't want to hurt her feelings, but I also know that if I mail the letter, and I'm going to clearly put in there, like there's no, response needed. I don't need a reaction. I don't, just take it as it is. I know my mom, she's going to write me a letter back. And I feel like I'll be releasing an anchor by mailing that letter, but she's going to mail me a couple back. And what I struggle with is, I don't have to read it, right? I don't have to, she'll either handwrite it or she'll email it. I don't have to open the email or open the letter, but I still feel like that's going to be an anchor sitting in my inbox or an anchor sitting on my counter. So I'm like, that's where I struggle.
You don't want to release an anchor and only get a new one. Is what
it won't be one. I can guarantee you that right now. It will not be one. It will be more than one, because I've tried to have the actual face-to-face conversation with her. But the way she responds, and I understand now that it's a form of like emotional abuse, is, oh, I don't remember that, or I don't recall that, or that's not what I meant. Or she is like a pro at waterworks. I'm telling you guys, she can turn them on, and that's like my weakness too, So it's just like, that's where I'm truly torn. Or it'll be, she won't talk to me, she won't call and check on her grandsons. It'll be that kind of stuff, which that eats at my heart.
Sure.
Because they're the only two that she has. My brother doesn't have kids. So it's just like, but it needs to be done. So that's the piece that I'm struggling with, is kind of like the aftermath.
Didn't Chris address this? Did he not? I listened to it again today because I'm struggling too. One of my anchors is I'm separated from my husband, and he's one of my huge anchors. He's got a lot of narcissistic traits. And that's one thing I fear. If I say something to him, he's immediately going to grow defensive, and then I'm going to get a whole collection of anchors back. I don't want any more. But if I listen to it again, and it might be helpful for us all if we're struggling with this, he says a lot of us might get the responses we get will be defensive. And he said, if that's the case, then maybe you don't want to actually address them. Because I think, Ayanna, you might have gotten another anchor back from your dad and addressing him directly. So he said, in that case, you can, with prayer, your letters, you can burn your letters, bury you can do anything, get it out of you, but then learn to treat them as if nothing happened moving forward. If you know you're going to get that kind of a defensive compact, then maybe it's better you don't, but you still need to work on releasing your own resentment, if that makes sense.
Exactly, Wendy. That was perfectly said. It's not a requirement to give someone the letter, right? Remember, their response, how they react, is not what this is about. This is about us releasing it from ourselves, right? Letting go of that resentment. It has nothing to do with what they're willing or unwilling to give you in return. It's for you, so you don't necessarily have to give it to anyone.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this and praying about it too, and I totally agree with that. But for me, like, putting it in the mail is releasing. I don't know if like the actual like tying the, putting, hey, stop, you two. Put it, putting a stamp on it, putting it in the mailbox and being done with it. Like, that is like, I'm a very visual person. Like, I need that, I guess, metaphor, but it's just, I'm just afraid.
How about a burning ritual?
Oh,
I found that very helpful in the backyard.
Thank you. I'm gonna try that.
No, you can do it in the backyard.
What was that?
I said in the backyard, then I got nervous.
You know something. There's so many ways to do it, and as Toy was speaking, I was saying to myself, like, I respect your desire to mail it. You know what I'm saying? And we have to brace ourselves for an aftermath, but at the same time, for a fact that that person is not doing the work. So you can expect them not to understand and not to just embrace it or accept responsibility. You can expect that, but it should feel authentic to you. Some of the people in our group wrote, what did they say? God, what should I write the letters and just keep it? My only concern about that is, will you continue to refer to that negative letter? Will you continue to refer to it? Sometimes you find the old letters, let me read this again. The whole idea is to release it and let it go, right? I know, for example, in my case, with my mom, I forgive her, and I know it's for me, but you probably have a similar relative like that where they have short-term memory and they're back to their old selves again, and you find yourself to forgive them 75 times a week. But here's the deal. You can't change them. It's gonna always be for you. If you mail it, trust me, time will pass, but you gotta hug them and love them as if it never happened. Either way, she will probably go back to her old ways, and she might not. Something you might say, but you gotta give the person an opportunity to receive this power that you're bestowing upon them, this power of forgiveness. You gotta give. You don't even know what seed you're planting that person. What if she says to you, because you haven't said that yet, Toy, wow, this has been on my spirit for the longest time. I never thought that I would have this emotion built up in me, or that you would address me this way, but I've been wanting to apologize to you. What if you missed the opportunity to have that moment where your mother has this moment of clarity that it's been on her spirit and she never had the opportunity? She leaves this earth without her child raising her up. What if you taught your mother something? Maybe not. But what if you did? What if you gave her the opportunity to say, you forgive me? I've been wanting this. I didn't know how I could ask for this. I didn't know that I deserved this, but you forgive me without me even asking you for forgiveness? What if, you know your mother better than we do. You're probably like, not my mother, but what if? What if? So be brave. Mm-hmm. Do what's on your spirit. Be prepared for her to be like, whatever, but love her as if it had never happened. Remember that forgiveness is for you.
Yeah. I want to add something real quick. So when we're doing these processes, right, we got to get in a certain state of mind too, right? Because we operate either out of pride or purpose, right? Mm-hmm. So think about what's the purpose of this letter, right? When we're forgiving other people and forgiving ourselves, that's an act of love, right? That's an act of love. So think love. Like, before you get into any writing or anything, think about love, right? Because that's what's going to come across in that letter.
Right.
That's what's going to come across. When you forgive yourself, you're saying, I love myself. When you're forgiving other people, you're saying, hey, you know what? You did these things. I'm going to act like this never happened. I love you.
Right.
That's an act of love to forgive somebody.
And like when you said, it warms the soul.
It warms the soul.
It changes the energy state, right?
You write that letter, love is going to be all in the letter. Mm-hmm. So when they get the letter, they're going to read it. What are they going to read? They're going to read your love that you have for them. right? That's what you want them to do.
Yeah, I think I'm going to mail it, and then if she happens to mail something back, then I'll do the ritual of burning that letter.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Well, think about it though. If we truly forgive, right? If we're truly practicing the power of I am, and we're truly learning how to forgive others and forgive ourselves, that's going to be a constant in our life. It's not just one time we forgive, like it's indefinite, right?
Right.
Now that we realize that, we have a new mindset. So even though we might still receive the same type of energy from them, we're different now, right? How we receive it is differently. Like Ayana said, you kind of expect it, or maybe not even expect it, receive love and just know that they may or may not give you what you're looking for. But we're okay with that because we're evolving, we're becoming better, and we're learning how to walk in love and forgiveness. So that is, I mean, I found the fire burning ritual fantastic for me, but I also found giving my mother the letter, allowing her to let that release from her spirit as well. So we actually had a nice conversation after that. So I agree with both of those things. Yeah. But there's a great way to practice this new version of you, honestly, right? Being able to receive negativity from someone that we love and care about and working on forgiving them, but being totally okay with that. That's challenging. I got to try that too, girl. Thank you so much for inspiring that.
Yeah, be fine with what you get back. But just keep in mind, you know, that's not nothing to do with you.
Right.
That's something that they got to work on. You doing the work on you. Think about that.
And you're going to continue to do the work on you.
They didn't do this work. So they might not, chances are they're not going to have the same program. Think about Power of I Am, right? And think about all of us, right? This is my hardware, right? I'm just gonna lay it out real quick. This is the hardware, right? I'm programming myself with the Power of I Am because I know that program is gonna allow me to install some awesome apps that I'm gonna need to be successful in life, right? Or software. But it's the operating system that we're getting. So now that operating system, look at it like, remember Windows had all these viruses and all that stuff? You have Windows, you go on the website, you can get infected with a virus like really easy. So then you have to get all these other software programs to stop the virus from coming and all that crazy stuff, right? So it's just like that. Like you're gonna have people out there that are negative and they're not on the same wavelength, but now you're gonna have this new operating system, right? That when that same virus comes or that same negativity comes to you, it ain't gonna be able to penetrate you the same way as before. That's why we gotta do the work. This is a new operating system. And all we gotta do is update it. Install it in your hardware, you have the power, right? You can learn anything you need to learn, right? We're doing it now. Nobody told me how to do this. I wish I knew this when I was going through my situation. Chris, right? Chris is going through something. And I told Chris the other day, I said, man, you know what? I checked on him the other day because I said, you know what? I got to check on my brother. And he said, yo, G, I'm good. And I know he's good because he got the power of I Am. I know he's going to do the right thing. Just like I'm able to do the right thing now, and the way you are going to be able to do the right thing. And whatever comes at us, we're going to handle it, right? We're getting better. We're increasing our capacity as we go every week. We're growing. This type of personal development right here, you're going to be amazed when you go through the program. I mean, in these 2 weeks, I'm going to just give you a preview. Like next week is going to be amazing. Nothing to do with this stuff that we did here. But this is sort of like being that we're on the topic of hardware and software. This is like wiping some of the slate clean. You know, we're formatting the hard drive. And then we're going to install something great, operating system. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to be able to go ahead from there and do anything you need to do. So this is the process of formatting. Excellent. Look at it like that.
We're getting some new dope apps.
For the computer geeks out there. No, but for real, nerds. We're going to clean the slate so we can go ahead and and be our best.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. So we thank you guys for doing this work and staying in the trenches and you know, keep each other in prayer, because we're battling some demons, a lot of us, and you know, this is that right time for a lot of us, but you're all in good hands just by being here and being in the same energy with every last one of you, and Chris, and we're in this journey together. So this is only the beginning. Trust your judgment, trust your transformation, even if it's not all the way there. Trust that you are better than you were yesterday, better than when you were last week, better than when you were before you even became a part of this community. You are better. So we want to thank you guys so much. So just to reiterate the assignment, write the letter to yourself, forgiving yourself. If you have to even write a letter to yourself to cleanse yourself of negativity, write down all those negative things that you were saying. That's the letter you want to burn. All those negative things you would look at yourself and say, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm this, I'm that. Look at you. How could you allow these things to happen to you? How could you forgive? Write those things down and burn that letter, right? And then forgive yourself at the same time that so that you're walking this earth with self-love and armor against any negativity that will come your way, because life still goes on. And everybody ain't got the power. All right, you guys. So
we'll post the assignment inside the group, and you know, some sort of like if y'all like that last post that I did with the anchors where you can drop a little something in there, we'll do something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we'll do something like that, and keep the conversation going in the group. All right. So thanks for coming out. You want to leave us with something?
No. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Well, thanks for have a blessed week.
Hold on, somebody said picture time. It wasn't me.
Oh, picture time.
That's what I'm talking about.
Take that.
I don't gotta. I'm on my phone.
I got you. Don't worry.
Picture time.
Picture time. Romper room time.
Who's taking it? You?
I'll take it.
Okay.
All right. All these beautiful faces up in here. Ready? 1, 2. Latrina. She's looking away. 3. One more. Stay. Got another page here. And 3. Excellent. All right. You guys, we love you. Stay in the journey, and we'll see you on the other side, guys. Have a wonderful night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.